joining us today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Excited.
Good.
Yeah, hopefully I'll bring in some energy today. I wanted to make sure I can be as informative and share as much information as possible. So,
And what's going on with you and your team at the moment? Tell me some exciting things happening.
Planning.
Yeah.
We're doing a lot of planning at the moment.
Yeah.
We have set some hefty goals for this coming financial year. So we're making sure that we're removing any blockages in our business to make sure that the next financial year hopefully will run as smoothly as possible.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Thank you.
Tell me, I don't know much about your introduction into real estate and what that looks like. So can you tell us about your first job in real estate and
how I got into real estate?
And how you got into real estate?
So I fell into real estate.
Okay.
We're going back. So graduated high school in 2000. So I was one of the Y2K graduations.
Mm-hmm.
Hampton Park Secondary. Grew up in Hampton Park. Lived in Hampton Park. Everything Hampton Park. And I always thought out of school I wanted to work on computers. So I went on a 2-year journey getting my diploma in IT. Yeah. And hated it. Hated every second. It just sitting in front of a computer definitely was not me. Didn't enjoy it. Was really, what do you say? Like you're just by yourself. Like you're sitting on a computer 8 hours a day, and that's what I thought I wanted to do. And I got into the programming side of it as well, so computer programming, and figured out really quick that wasn't me. At that time, whilst I was doing my diploma IT, I had a partner at the time, and my partner, she worked at LJ Hooker in Hampton Park, and it was when she was working there, we had a Christmas party. It was at the old Melbourne jail, and got along really well with the salespeople. Obviously, they could tell I wasn't shy at all, and I was pretty easy to get along with. And I reckon about a month after that, I had a phone call from that owner at the time, and he called me and said, "Hey, look, come in. We want to talk to you about, maybe starting a career in real estate." And I hadn't thought about it at the time. And at the time, I politely refused him because my partner was working there at the time. And I said I didn't want to work with my partner. And I reckon my partner lasted there another 9 months. She got another job offer somewhere else to move up into property management. And I reckon about a couple of weeks after that she moved on, I got the phone call again and say, "Hey, look, well, your partner's no longer working here anymore, so..."
What's stopping you?
What's stopping you?
Yeah.
And he got me. He actually got me good. So I went in and had the interview, and I did give it a bit of time because he did say to me, basically, real estate is life, and you have to dedicate 7 days a week to it. I was pretty good at sports at the time. I was very competitive and I love my sports. I was playing football at the time, but football wasn't paying my bills. And it was at that time when I pulled the trigger and made the decision, well, I need a career rather than playing sports and being broke. So that was the time I actually accepted it, stopped all my sports, and that was late 2002, early 2003, that I jumped on board with LJ Hooker in Hampton Park. And I was there till, say, oh jeepers, the dates. 2011.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep. One of my good traits is loyalty. Since 2002, I've only ever worked at 3 offices. One was Al Jilger in Hampton Park, and I didn't leave there to go and work for someone else. I left there to go and work for myself, which is when I opened up Narre Warren South. And then obviously from there we converted from Narre Warren South to Ray White. We rebranded, which was the one office. And then obviously I ended up here. So really 3 offices. So I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
I'm proud of that because you see a lot of people that have been in real estate 2-3 years and they've already jumped to 3 to 4 different agencies.
Yeah.
So.
What made you decide to open up your own business?
Really good question. I felt it was time. I'm going to say ego.
Ego. Yeah, it's a good
Ego.
answer.
Ego is probably why I opened it up. And at the time, look, I had really great mentors. I'm truly so lucky to have some really, really great mentors. I now consider what I learnt back in 2002, 2003 old school real estate. So at the time, I had a handful of really great mentors that taught me how to do real estate and real estate well. And then from there, I saw things that I loved that our office did, and a bit of pedigree. Our office, LJ Hampton Park, was number one basically the whole time we were there, the whole time that I was there. So I was very lucky to see what a top performing office was built like. And when I left there was things that I really, really, I took on board and I loved that they did not. There was things that I didn't like that they did. And I wanted to make it better. I wanted to do better. I wanted to sit there and say, you know what, let's take all the good things and transition them into my business, but also the bad things, let's improve them and make them better.
Yeah.
So that's why, and I find it was a massive journey, like the journey to make it better and start a business from zero, like we're starting off with nothing.
Yeah.
So ego got me going. I think ego
Kept me going. Yeah.
Ego definitely kept me going. But it was definitely a journey of trying to change some of those things that I didn't want to bring from the old business to the new one. And that was definitely, there's some challenges. It could have been just easy just to sit back and go, bugger, we'll just plug and play. We'll take the good and the bad with us and just lock it in. But there were certain aspects that I didn't want to run my business like.
And what did your team look like in those early days when you first transitioned?
Yep. So it was me. It was Renee. We hired a receptionist at the time who multitasked. They had to multitask. There was office administration, so 2IC basically in the office. And there was me, sales agents. There was Louis Jean-Pierre was one of the sales agents that come over at the time. There was also Jamie, my sister, who'd come over at the time. And I think that was basically the team that I started with. Yeah, and it was hectic. It was hectic. It was crazy. Ray White have a name for it. They call it the go-go phase, I think they call it.
Yeah.
And it's hectic. And I think I was a young dad at the time. I just had our second child. So I think we're talking 2011.
And tell me about the transition from LJ Hooker to the Ray White Group and how that came about.
Yes, really good. So I'd been LJ Hooker all my life. I think I was LJ Hooker up until around about 2017, it was. So I started my career in 2002-ish. So that's, I think I was there I got my 15-year award at LJ Hooker, maybe a little bit more. At the time, being a business owner, you have so many moving parts to your business. Like there's just, you're doing everything. And obviously you're paying franchise fees for a service. And at the time, I felt the service coming from LJ Hooker was not worthy of the franchise fees I was paying. I don't want to go too much in, but the sad part was there was things that I needed help and support with that I wasn't getting.
Yeah.
And I was having to pay external people for the help and support that I should have been getting from the brand.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it wasn't fair. And I'm sitting there going, well, hang on, they're taking a nice slice of the pie, and yet I'm still having to fork out more money. That's not right.
Yeah.
So at the time, I had a business coach at the time, and he said, well, if you're not getting the support that you need, he goes, figure out the support you do need, and then basically embark on a journey to find either a brand that does give you that support or go independent, and then basically you're freeing up all that franchise fees that you're not paying, so therefore you can pay for the support that you need.
Yeah.
So at the time, what that looked like, we interviewed I'm going to say about half a dozen agencies or brands at that time. And one of the things, and I go back to even the previous, when I was at Algebra Hampton Park, I said there was things that I didn't want to take with us to when we opened up our business, and a couple of those were cultural things. A couple of those were very, very cultural, and values. Value items were really, really important to Renee and I.
Yeah.
So when we interviewed these brands, what was truly, it was number one thing on our list. It was values. We wanted to align ourselves with a company that had similar values to ours.
Yeah.
And the biggest one at the time was family values, was the biggest one at the time. And
in walks Ray White.
Ray White was on top. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
That's why we ended up transitioning to Ray White. And we, like I said, we had about 6 brands to look at, and Ray White came on top at that time with the family values. So, when we had the criteria we're looking at, because obviously we had a really great conversation with my business coach at the time, very smart man, and he said, before you go into these meetings, figure out what you want to come out of these meetings. And number one for Renee and I was the family values.
Yeah.
Or values as a whole. There was some ones we walked out of. And I remember there was one we walked out of, and we're going down the lift, down the elevator. And funnily enough, it's still a brand in this suburb too. And we walked out of that going, we needed a bath. Yeah. Because we just felt dirty walking out of it.
Oh.
Like we felt dirty, like we just wanted to scrub ourselves. And it was just, it was an answer we knew even before we jumped in the elevator leaving that appointment. We knew. So once we ticked the values box, then what was really important to us was support. Because you're paying good money for these franchises.
Absolutely.
You want support.
Absolutely.
So we looked over what sort of support we need. And a couple of the support we need was technology. That's a real big game changer for us in our business. You want to be at the forefront of technology. When we went into Ray White Corporate, they put on, I think they call it the Road Show.
A road show.
A road show. Yeah. And their technology at that time blew us away with also what was coming up as well.
Yeah.
The power of that technology in itself was worth the franchise fees we were paying.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know I have a lot of conversations, and there's a lot of agents that I talk to that will align themselves with no brand agencies, which is okay. If that's what they want to do, that's not a bad thing at all. However, a lot of the agents will go for that because they don't want to have to pay the 10% clip.
Yeah.
They don't want to pay the money for the franchise fees off the top of their commission. But what they don't realise, and this is something I've always known, is the value you get out of even the technology that you get. If you can get 1 or 2 or 3 more properties to sell per year, that'll well and truly pay for itself.
Oh, absolutely.
But they'll go for doing their 9 or 10 deals a year rather than thinking, well, can this technology help? Can this environment help? Can the culture help? Can the support help? Can the sales manager help? Can this help? Can this help? They look at the small picture. They're looking at what they lose rather than what they gain.
Absolutely.
So I always knew that the support, the technology, the culture, so many things that we looked for when we aligned ourselves with a brand, that I look at the benefits, not the cost. Because if you look at the cost, you'll end up a little alone independent. And look, let's look realistically, there's not a whole lot of independents out there that are doing big things. So if you want to do big things, align yourselves with a big group, a big company, a big agency. No matter if that's a independent, if it's a big one, align yourself with them. But if you align yourself with a smaller agency, then usually you're going to get the smaller results, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
I don't find $1 million agents working at a little independent brand.
Couldn't agree with you more.
And another thing that I enjoy about Ray White is the answers. So if you're an agent and you're writing 300,000 and you want to get to 600,000, being an independent agent, if your franchise owner is not writing those numbers, then the likelihood of you trying to get to those numbers is next to none. It's nearly impossible because you need to mimic agents that are doing it. If you're an $800,000 rider and you want to get to 1.2, then you need to go and align yourself with a brand or a group that has someone in that office or someone close by that is doing those sort of numbers.
Yeah.
If you're a $1.5 million agent, you want to get to 2.5, you need to mimic that agent. So in the Ray White group, they have that. In fact, Gav, hey Rach, I just came back from Pakenham office.
Yeah.
Because there is information there that they have that I have roadblock in Team Aziret's business. So I went and sat down and Gav was brilliant. And thank you, Gav, and thank you, Rach. They absolutely were generous with their time. We sat down, they gave me an hour and a half. And there is things from that chat that absolutely we as Team Aziret, we will go and implement.
Yeah.
Because that is definitely going to help improve our business, our customer service, and what we can offer.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me about the joining forces of Narre Warren and Cranbourne.
Do you want me to tell you how that come about, or do you want that sad story there? Or do you want me to bypass that and...
Let's go with when the handshake happened and what happened from there and what that looked like.
Yep. So we sold our business. Okay. We won't go into depth on why, but we sold our business. And when I sold our business, obviously the rent roll is the valuable part of business.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of takers in that rent roll space. Now, Mark, obviously, the offer that we got from Mark was pretty strong. It was a pretty good offer. There might have been maybe a little bit more money here and there, but look, 5 or 10 grand is not going to go change my life. Okay. I was at the time more concerned about having a good vehicle to merge a rent roll in with to make sure that the current customers that we had were looked after. That was really, really important to us because it's not worth merging with a business and then, 2, 3, 4 months later, the customers that we had and that we looked after, like these customers we'd had for a very long time, going and then calling up and going, this is a horrible experience. I see it too much where an owner will sell their rent roll for the very, very, very highest price and give it to a company that will then, over the next month, 2, 3, 4, will absolutely butcher it. They won't look after the customers. There's no customer service, no feedback. It's just really, really poor. And I didn't want that for our customers. So we sacrificed dollars and cents, which was fine, to make sure that the customers that we did have knew they were going to a good home. Yeah. And then after that, then obviously it was a discussion on where the rest of the team's going to go, but also myself was going to go. And again, I did the same things. I looked for companies that I want to align myself with values. Luckily enough, I've been in real estate a long time. I know a lot of the agents and agencies around here. I got some ridiculously strong offers from a lot of different companies, but those companies I didn't want to align myself with for numerous reasons. And it all has to do surrounded with values.
Yeah, absolutely.
So again, hiring people for so long and interviewing people for so long, being a business owner, I sort of had to practice what I preached because as a business, we didn't go and offer the greatest commission in the world. Like we weren't sitting there going, hey, we're going to give you 100% of commissions. We were competitive in a market, but where I came from, I would think we provided a better environment and a better vessel for the people that joined us to really take their futures in their hands and basically let them fly. Yeah. That's what I would hope for. Whereas, yes, we interviewed agents and yes, they said no to us because they just turned around and go, well, hang on, we're getting higher offers over here. Yeah. And funnily enough, those higher offers, they'd last there 2, 3, 6 months, if that. They probably didn't get half the opportunities at those smaller offers or smaller brands. But again, they chase money. Yeah. I learned a long time ago, don't chase money. Chase everything else bar money. Because if you're happy in the environment that you're at, the money will come.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the last 12 months looked like for you and your team at Cranbourne?
So the first 6 months was fabulous. because I had the first 6 months off,
Yep.
and it was the break that I needed.
Yeah.
It was.
Tell me a little bit about that. Where'd you go?
So it was amazing. So after, obviously, when we sold the business, I was blessed enough to be able to. We took my family overseas.
Mm-hmm.
So my wife, my 3 kids, we went overseas, and also I took my mum and dad with me too, and we travelled to places that we've always had on our bucket lists.
Yeah.
And goals and dreams. So it was just the right time to take that break, to rest, spend some time with my family, spend some time with friends.
Yeah.
Because real estate is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it is a full-time job. And it was just nice to be able to not wake up and go, hey, I've got to be here, or hey, I've got to go and service that person today, or hey, I've got to do that phone call, or hey, I've got to go to that building of pest. It was just 6 months of peace, spending time with family. Hey, yes, I can go there for dinner. But it was very special, taking more so my kids overseas to my father's birthplace, which was Turkey. So my background is Turkish. I'd never been there.
Yeah.
And what was really sad was the last 20-something years I've been in real estate, my father had gone back 4 times.
Yeah.
And I couldn't go back any of those times due to work, due to kids, all that sort of stuff. So it was actually nice to be able to share that with my wife, share that with my kids, and share it with my dad and my mum. Just at least going to see where my father was born and him growing up, and I got to see my father's. So I went to the cemetery with my dad to see his father, and that was very emotional.
Yeah.
And it's more so emotional and confronting too, because my grandfather, who I never met, has the same name as me. So on the on his gravestone it says Metin Aziret, which was very confronting. But I think it was a proud moment. I think it was a proud moment too for my dad, because he got to introduce his family to his father.
Yeah.
So that was a very proud moment that we got to share with him.
Yeah, and so special that you could take your family to witness that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really, really nice. And we got to see his aunties as well, who I've never met before. So that was really nice. Gallipoli was, I think, something that should be on everyone's bucket list.
Yeah.
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 You've had the trip of a lifetime.
Had the trip of a lifetime.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just Turkey, it was a handful of countries: Switzerland, Greece, Mykonos, which I know is in Greece, Santorini, Italy, amazing, Dubai, Turkey. I don't know if I'm missing any or not. Did I say Switzerland? Switzerland's amazing. Oh my God. Get to Switzerland.
Yeah.
Fantastic country.
Yeah, I loved Switzerland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Country. So 2 months we did overseas. We were a little bit forced to come home because my oldest was in year 10 at the time. And even getting that long off his schooling we were very lucky. They didn't like it. And then when I came back, I actually took another 4 months off.
Yeah.
So in that time, I got to rest, rejuvenate, look at what's really important to me. And then I think it was the start of February I came back.
Yeah.
And then have been back full time.
Guns blazing.
Guns blazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, guns blazing. Look, I thought, do I come back and just cruise and chill, just do enough business to pay the bills and make me happy and live a very comfortable life? I did think about that. But that's not in me. That's not my DNA. I am a ridiculously competitive beast.
Yeah.
Ridiculously competitive. So, if I'm going to set my mind to something, I don't do a half job.
Yeah.
It's either you do it properly, or don't do it at all.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, the byproduct of doing it and doing it properly is back into doing long hours, which is fine. It's fine. But also I'm very mindful about my balance and my energy as well.
Yeah.
Very mindful.
Yeah.
So that's the first 6 months. The second 6 months, a lot of planning, a lot of hours, a lot of work.
Yeah. And can you talk to the culture at Cranbourne and what that has looked like?
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the culture here. One of the things which we look for as agents, and all agents should look for, is support. It's not a one-man band. You want to go and do a particular amount of numbers, you can't do that alone.
100%.
So support was a big ticket item. Another big ticket item is obviously having trusting team members, because obviously when you sell a property, you're not talking about a $20 or $30 remuneration. Okay, there's a lot of money behind the scenes here that we can earn, and you have to trust your team to not stab you in the back.
Yeah.
And my very first office that I work with, great people, very, very high achievers, really high achievers. Number one office for many, 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 many years, but very cutthroat.
Yeah.
So I've learnt old school ways, and in fact, it was some of those old school ways that I didn't want to bring to my business. You know, I didn't want to bring a business where you have to hide your data,
Yeah.
where you have to cover up data and go, well, here's a listing that may be coming up, and then worry about if someone's going to go pinch it. Okay, so that's the sort of environment that I originally came from, and that's not the environment that I wanted to bring into my business, and that's not the environment that I wanted to join. You want to be able to trust people that they're going to do the right thing by you.
Yeah.
They're also going to provide you the right support, the right advice as well, a kick in the pants when you need it too. But that's probably the experience that I've had from Cranbourne. There's no skullduggery here. There's no backstabbing. Everyone is really, really happy to help and support and guide and nurture and advice. There is a truckload of knowledge here that you can lean on. That's probably the greatest part.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that part I really enjoy. I actually spoke to Jackson about this earlier today. And again, I go back to Gavin Rach. They were so generous to donate their time, and they were just like an open book. And I said, one day, Jackson, I said, you need to pay that forward.
Yeah.
And I feel, Cranbourne have been really, really good to me with the support and the offerings that they've given me, and the open arms that they've invited me. And I feel it's part of my responsibility with my knowledge and experience that I've got to also give back to the team in here. But also when you give back inherently, and it's not a payoff, the better your team is and the better the team you work with are, the better the office is, the better you'll be.
Absolutely.
So I'm more than happy to share. Look, I know my role in here. My role in here is to list and sell. But also, when required, if people in here need coaching, training, scripts, dialogues, I am blessed to be able to help them people.
Yeah.
And I hope in 20 years' time, when they've been in the real estate industry, they'll look back and go, there was these certain people that had monumental impacts on their career. And I hope I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
And something that I will get a bit nostalgic about, I find someone's life a life well worth lived and also gived in life and helped other people in life is when you get to your grave. Okay. I've unfortunately, sadly, I've been to too many funerals, and as you get older, you get to go to a few more. But I find I've been to funerals which are banked out, like you get standing room only.
Yeah.
And then I've been to funerals and I look at the crowd and there's hardly anyone in the crowd. And that breaks my heart.
Yeah.
And I wonder what sort of life that person lived. I'm like, when I go, and I hope I have a standing room only. I want people to sit there going, you know what, one way, shape, form, he helped me in life.
Yeah.
It was only this little bit or this monumental bit or whatever in between. They sit there going, you know what, that person had an impact on a positive way in my life.
Oh, absolutely. And how do you want to be remembered?
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's how I want to be remembered. So,
Yeah.
It's part of who I am. It's part of what I want to do. I'm happy to give back to these people. I'm happy to give back to people. So therefore, they can also then make the office great and the rest of the people great in the office. And then hopefully that comes back. It's just a snowball effect.
Yeah.
And I hope by me giving that information back to these people and coaching and mentoring and training and, I hope that one day that, there'll be enough respect there where, they'll basically come to my funeral. So,
Well, there's no doubt you're an incredible asset to the team, full of wealth and knowledge.
Thank you.
Let's switch gears. I want to talk a little bit on auctions
Okay.
and for you to tell me about that. So,
Have you had anyone else in the office talk auction?
A little bit, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah, we spoke with Greg Bryden, who is now with Apollo Auctions.
Yes.
He gave us some information, which is great.
What about any sales agents in here? Am I the first one you're talking about auctions?
I think within the office, yes. Yeah. Or you've probably got the experience, first of all.
Okay.
Yeah. Tell me about your experience with auctions
Okay.
and the benefit of a vendor
Yep.
taking their property to auction as opposed to a private sale.
Very good. I do love auctions.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, around here, we're still in the southeast suburbs. It's still a developing culture
Mm-hmm.
from owners. So there is still a lot of fear with owners about auctions. But why did I start the auction process? Numerous reasons. Numerous. Obviously, real estate agents, first one that comes to mind is we're not the most trusted people in the workforce, which is fine. I genuinely understand that. And for everyone out there watching this, yes, there is a small contingent that aren't that great of real estate agents, but most of us are pretty good. We are as trustworthy as we can be, but obviously people are probably going to laugh at that. And we actually do have some values. The good ones will normally have values. But the main reason was transparency.
Yeah.
Can we negotiate behind the scenes? Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. But I find when you're in a transparent environment, when you can see your bidder versus your bidder versus your bidder over there, it takes the he, she say out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people will sit there going, well, I don't believe you have another offer. And look, agents, and I know agents out there that will sit there and go, well, hey, I got 2 other offers, and they don't have squat. It's actually really embarrassing because, and actually, I'll take a step back a little bit. That comes down to skill set from an agent. It is far easier for an agent to learn real estate the wrong way, lies, than put time and effort into learning it the right way.
Yeah.
If they just dedicated themselves on learning it the right way, they wouldn't need to make that shit up. Just put some time and effort, but they don't. They want quick money, fast way of doing it, so they learn the wrong way, which is the lies.
Yeah.
And they don't need to do it.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. But going back to the auctions, transparency. So when there's bidders, you don't need to call a buyer and go, hey, look, there's another buyer behind the scenes, and they go, sure, there is, mate, you got another buyer. Whereas at an auction, there they are.
It's in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very raw, straightforward, direct experience for the buyer, and they get to experience as a whole and compete in an open forum. And after that, they can walk away knowing that they gave everything that they could. There is no more, but I would have paid another $5,000 more. At the fall of the hammer, they know. Once it's on the market, it's done and dusted.
Yeah.
I also enjoy the unconditional buying. Most real estate, that we sell, most agents are selling into between 14 to 30 days. That's the time frame on the market for most properties. I'm going to say 80% of properties. For that time, if you do 2 weeks, let's say after 2 weeks you got it sold, then you've got 2 weeks subject to finance. Then you've maybe got another couple of days with building and pest that you maybe potentially have to deal with. Sometimes the finance clause goes longer. So inherently, you're at the 4 to 5 week mark anyway. But after the 4 to 5 week mark, and this is the part that is really contentious, and I have seen it shift in the last, I'm going to say 3 to 5 years, the most contentious part is when they get the building and pest inspection done, they are noting either major defects on the property or minor defects. Now, let's say there's no major defects on the property, they'll come back with minor defects and go, well, we want this and this and this and this and this fixed. And if the owners don't fix it, we're going to pull out of the deal. So therefore, you're back to square one. 5 weeks down the gurgler, you're back to square one. And my poor owners, and that's if they pull out of the deal. Now, we'll try and keep the deal together, but normally they'll either want 2 things. They'll want it fixed, which will cost my owners money. Or they'll want my owner to reduce their price, which costs the owner money. Which is horrible, because then you are now at the will of the buyer.
Yeah.
Now, if the owners sit there and go, well, okay, we're looking to fix it, they may then have to pay anywhere from $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 to get it fixed, up to $15,000, $20,000 to get it fixed, which If you go to auction, that then onus is pushed back on the buyer. Now, the buyer's responsibility is, yes, to calculate all the figures and sums, to get a building and pest done on it prior to that, so therefore they know what they're getting into at the fall of a hammer. They understand that. So we are paid by our owners. Now, not to say you can't give great customer service to your buyers. You can, absolutely you can. There's the house, get your building and pest, get everything you need to get done to make your best educated decision to come to the auction on that day. But more so for my owners, at the fall of that hammer, they know that deal is done. That's it. Now, if the campaign has been done and done properly, statistics tell me that around 75% will be sold under the hammer.
Yeah.
If everything has been done from the very get-go to the hammer, 75. Those are good odds.
Great odds.
Tremendous odds. 7.5 out of 10 owners will sell under the hammer. You can't get better odds than that. So if an owner sits there and goes, we want to sell, I said, they go, well, here's a 7.5 out of 10 chance you'll sell under the hammer.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
The only thing is the fear of auction.
Yeah.
And I understand that. And it's really easy for me to sit there and express to an owner why an auction is great. But if they've never done one before, if they've never gone to an auction before, they've never experienced one before, then yeah, I understand that fear.
Why do you think auction is feared? Do you think it's a lack of education?
Absolutely, there's a lack of education, a lack of experience from the owner side, but also it's actually a fear of failure. Oh, but what happens if we go to auction on a Saturday and it gets passed in? I'm going to look like a silly Billy to my neighbours. My neighbours are going to sit there going, you're silly. It's actually the fear of being judged.
Yeah.
The fear of being judged.
Yeah.
They hate knowing that if it doesn't sell, then all the neighbours are going to sit there and think, oh, what's wrong with it? What's this? And it's actually not. It's not the case. You know, it's... And then here's a really, really good stat. Post-auction. If you are one of the 2.5 people that don't sell at auction, it's okay. Because the stat is around about 85% chance you'll have it sold the 2 weeks post-auction.
Yeah.
85%.
Yeah.
I like numbers. In fact, here's something you can share as well. I failed English at school. That's I failed English. I'm horrible at English. I hate it.
Yeah.
But maths, I flew at maths.
Yeah.
And I will take those odds every day of the week.
Yeah.
Those stats are really, really strong.
Yeah.
But again, that fear of embarrassment, the fear of failure, the fear of judgment is enough, or the fear of the unknown is enough for an owner to sit there and go, no, you know what? We're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. They look at the glass half empty,
Yeah.
whereas I look at it half full. I sit there going, okay, well, let me share my experiences with you with really, really good auctions. If we can create a really great auction for you, I've seen prices go 10 to 20% above owners' expectations. I've seen it. I have seen it, and I'm sitting there going, why wouldn't you want to give yourself that chance? And if that happens, amazing. I'm super stoked for you.
Yeah.
Whereas if it doesn't, that's okay. That's okay, because there is 2.5% out of 10 that, yes, you're not going to be one of those owners.
Yeah.
But at least, why wouldn't you run the chance of having that sort of result? Why wouldn't you run that chance? Then just going straight to a private sale anyway, because if you're one of the 2.5% and then you aren't one of the, if you don't get it sold, then you're going to go to private sale anyway. And there's an 80 to 85% chance you'll have it sold within the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So why not give it that chance to get 5, 10, 15, 20% over market value? All you need is 2. If you get 2 bidders that love your house, it flies.
Yeah.
It flies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any memorable auctions? Some that stand out? Good, bad, ugly?
I've had some really, really ripper ones. Actually, yes. There was one that I had in Hallam. It was on Glenburn Drive. The campaign had been really, really good. Actually, I'm going to share 2 auctions actually.
Go for it, yeah.
The first one's in Hallam. This was some time ago. And we thought we knew all the buyers there. We'd come very prepared. We'd done everything that we needed to do for the owner and their very, very best chance at selling at auction. The auction itself on the day was an absolute cracker. We had, I think we had 3 bidders there on the day. And there was one person that pulled up in the car We had no idea who he was. Never seen him before in our life. I'm going to say he was Vietnamese background.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I knew who the buyer was going to be on the day. And this gentleman rocked up last minute. And I'm tipping, basically, we're just about to call the auction. And the auctioneer's out the front. He walked into the house, walked out of the house, and he started bidding. And I'm like, you're kidding me. And I'll never forget his bidding because I was standing next to the buyer that basically had got right to the end. And this gentleman waited till the last minute and he threw his hand up. And I remember him bidding and it was vigorous. And he's like, 1,000 more, 1,000 more. And I'm going back and forth between the two bidders. And I'm sitting there going, what's going on here? And when I went back to the other bidder and said, look, obviously you're not winning at the moment. Maybe throw another $1,000, maybe throw a strong bid at $5,000 at the end just to knock him out. And that gentleman, the one that we just met, when I walked back to him, he was right in my face and he's like, you can't do that. You can't do that. I'm like, yes, I can. I'm here to work for my owners. I said, I'm here to give everyone the same fair, equal opportunity. He's like, no, you can't do that. Anyway, he won the bidding.
Oh.
He won the auction. And I was a little bit nervous because I've never met him before in my life. He came in, limited English, and we said, now you need to pay your deposit. He goes, no problems, I'll be right back. He went to his car. He pulled out a brick of money from under his seat. He counted it all out, wrapped the rest of the brick back up, put it back under his seat, paid his deposit in cash.
Oh my God.
I could not believe it. Could not believe it. That was Glenburn Drive, Hallam. The other one, which was, again, one on Tillmouth. This was Narre Warren South, right across the road from the shopping centre. Amazing campaign. Beautiful owner at the time too. I had a very receptive owner to, again, nervous. Oh, do we do that? I'm like, trust me. But I'd known this owner for a little while, and in fact, I knew her daughter for a bit longer. Mm-hmm. And they're like, look, Metin, this is what you do. We trust you. Did the 4-week auction campaign. Auction campaign was amazing. One of the buyers that came there on the day, he was the underbidder from another auction that we did 2 weeks prior. Really, really lovely family, lovely people. They looked at the house. They said, Metin, we're all in. We love it. And he came to the auction on the day. So after a great campaign, he came to the auction that day, and we had 2 people duking it out. Actually, no, I think it was 4. There was 4. So he started the bidding. He was a starting bid. He started the bid, then he fought with another person back forward, until basically that person dropped out. But it was still around the average price. Like the price was still, it was where it was expected to sell. But it was enough where the owner would take it, but it wasn't like wow money. Yeah. And then what happened was, basically another one kicked in. Another bidder kicked in, so out of nowhere he's come in and kicked in. And this poor guy, I just saw the frustration because he was the underbid on the last one. And he basically had to then restart his bidding against this other one. So these other 2 kept fighting. Anyway, this one's out. And he's standing there, and the auctioneer's calling it, going once, going twice, going 3 times, like death's door knock. And then this bidder came in and goes, $1,000 more. Oh. And you should have seen this guy's face. He was just shattered. And I'm sitting there going, this guy's out. He's not going to go anymore. He's missed out on that one. He's going to miss out on this one. All to a buyer that came in right at the last minute. Yeah. Didn't happen. He fired up his bidding again and basically turned around and he's like, I've come this far. I'm not missing out on this property. I'm not leaving without this house. He ain't leaving without it. And he didn't. He fought with this last bidder, I reckon, for another $40,000. Oh. Now, this owner, we walked in after that and she was crying. She was ecstatic. These are the ones where you see 15% over what realistically the value of the property was. And it's because we had the right buyers. We introduced the right buyers. The campaign was flawless. We did everything we needed to do. And for that owner to get that, it was just amazing. And it was beautiful too because this owner, she was going to a lifestyle village. So every penny counts. And I know this, and I'll swear on this. There is no way that she would have got that price if it had been private sale. Yeah. No way whatsoever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if that had been passing on the day, yeah, we would have got it sold. Not for what the price it went for, though. And she did. She rolled the dice, and she was the same. I'm like, trust me, this is what we're going to do. I laid it out on a platter. I told her, obviously, the process from go to woe. I always like to make sure my owners know everything before in advance, before they make a decision. And we did. And that well and truly paid off for her.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was an amazing result. And those are the two standouts. And just the aggressiveness of that one in Hallam, like, one more. And he's like right up in the auctioneer's face, like, and he's moving forward. He's like, and one more. And he's looking at the other guy, and he's like, and one more. And he's basically this far away. He's like, from the auctioneer. He's like, and one more. And I'm sitting there going, what is going on here? Like, it was really good. It was really good.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
Those were good stories.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why you go to auction.
That's why I would prefer all my owners definitely to go to auction.
Yeah.
But I definitely respect the fact that if they're just too scared, which is fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. We definitely have a process around our private sale method, which private sale is where we started. And I've had since 2002 to hone my private sale skills. I would bank my private sale skills against any agent in this state. My pedigree and my training and the people I've learnt off and been blessed to learn off since 2002 have made me who I am and what I am today. And I don't want to toot my own trumpet, but I'm very, very good at what I do. But that's why you pay the nearly the 25-year rate, because you're not just paying me for what I've learnt today, you're paying me what I've learnt 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
that will advantage you well and truly to a certain
Tremendously.
degree. 100% will.
Yeah.
100%, yeah.
What does the next 6 months look like for Team Aziret?
Growth.
Growth.
Yeah, growth for us. But also with balance.
Yeah.
I about a month ago, I committed back to working 6 days a week again. And I've pulled the pin on that real quick. Back when I first started real estate, I was doing 7 days a week and did it comfortably. Never balked an eyelid. My first boss, and his name was John Maverley, and I've got absolute tremendous respect for him. Tremendous respect for him. He said, this is basically my first week. He said, if you're away, it's either because someone's dying or you're dead.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Otherwise, you're working.
Yeah.
And I took that for gospel. So I did 7 days a week for, I'm going to say, my first 7 years of real estate. I find it really interesting. The younger generation today, you can't do that to them anymore.
Yeah.
They just cannot. You can't do that. You cannot get them to work 7 days a week for 7 years. You cannot.
Yeah.
I wish they did, but you need to at least give them some sort of balance. But that was my introduction to real estate, and I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
But now, could I do that back then? Yes. Wasn't married, didn't have a mortgage,
Didn't have a family.
So that's what we did.
Yeah.
Whereas I pulled the pin on it a couple of days ago going, no, I will now go back to taking a Friday and a Sunday off.
Yeah.
And that's to keep my sanity. And also, I find when I'm burnt out, I'm no good to no one.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm absolutely no good to no one. When I'm burnt out, I could do 6 days inefficiently rather than being fresh and do 5 days efficiently.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those 5 days that I'm here, I will go 110 miles an hour and I will do 14-hour days if I have to. I will do 9 till 9 at night, 9 till 10, 9 till 7, 8 till whatever. I'll do what I have to for them 5 days.
Yeah.
So, and I've got a very supportive wife who, funnily enough, I met in real estate. We met in real estate.
Yeah.
So she knows what the day-to-day looks like for
Yeah.
me. So she takes a lot off my plate. So I'm very grateful for the support that I get from my family, and also the massive support that I get from my wife. I wouldn't be here today, and this is true, this is genuine. I would not be here today without my wife, Renee. I wouldn't be.
Yeah.
100%.
What a gem.
She allows me to do what I do best.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
So thank you, sweetheart.
Well, thank you so much, Metin. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, and thank you too, and thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me on this journey that I get to share with everyone at the Cranbourne office.
And all the best for the next 6 months. Growth mode.
Thank you, I'm going to need it.
Let's go.